Now, let's move on to our last session on the theme of the challenging spirit of youth changing the world. We are the ones who create the future, and this session is powered by ITAMAE. So now, let's welcome our panelists onto the stage. Hasen Kuniyama, CEO of Fox Union Incorporated. Tiffine Wang, advisor of Inception Studio, CEO of Onsen Global, leadership development and AI global venture capitalist. Satoru Steve Naito, co-founder and CEO of Anyplace. Clement Aglietta, co-founder and CEO of EDA. And our moderator will be Chloe Takahashi, Cosme Hunt, Techstars Tokyo, founder of Cosme Hunt, program manager of Techstars Tokyo. Thank you very much, guys. Please take a seat.
Thank you.
And it looks like guys are all ready. So Takahashi-san, please start the session.
Hi, hey everyone. Thank you for joining us. This is our last session at the Sushi Tech, the Day-1, and I'm the moderator of your today. I'm Chloe Takahashi, and I'm formerly a founder of a startup called Cosme Hunt, based in San Francisco. And recently, I sold my company to the Japanese public company, and I recently joined the venture capital called Techstars, and now I'm today here to moderate this panel session with the amazing panelists today. So yes, so I'd like to begin with the amazing four the panelists here today. So here we have Hasen, the founder of Fox Union, and then we have the Tiffine. She's the amazing venture capitalist with 10 years experience around the world. And we have Satoru. He's actually my friend from the Bay Area. He's a founder of Anyplace. Thank you. And then last, we have Clement. He formerly investor at the New York Venture Capital, and he recently started his company called EDA. So please welcome these amazing founders and investors today. Okay, so yes, let's start from the introduction. And then I'm gonna also switch English and Japanese so that everyone can understand what discussion we're doing. So let's start with Hasen-san. If you could introduce yourself. これまでやってきたことと
So could you talk about what you have been doing and what you have started? So if you can introduce that to us.
Today, and it's really honored to be here. So let me introduce myself in Japanese. 私はですね、Fox Union という
Well, so I started the Fox Union recently. Let me talk about my career. Originally, I used to work for TBS, which is a TV station. I worked as an announcer for 10 years. And at that time, I was in charge of the news program, sports program, and a variety program, entertainment program. So I was in the media industry, doing the reporting and so forth. And through these experiences, the changes of the media industry was something that I was feeling, and the various challenges were also something that I was learning. So I wanted to shift to the startup media. So 2023, 2 years ago, I started to work for a company called Pivot. As a producer, I joined this company. And there, we focus on the business persons and to talk about how to develop the careers and to utilize and improve the literacy of the money-related things. So we were engaged in the production of the programs. And through these experiences, when you look at the Japanese media industry, I experienced the mass industry and the startup, both of them. And another bridge or another access is to send the messages from abroad. So this year, in LA, US, I established a company, and in April, back in Japan now, but I started a company in LA. So major content of the business is that since I have been working in the media, to send the information from Japan to abroad and mainly from the United States to bring the global information to Japan and to the world. So I established a team, and as a business, how can we grow the business is something that I'm thinking about right now. So now we are starting the new media company. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Tiffine, Wang, please start introduce yourself.
So hi everyone, my name is Tiffine Wang. Today I'm an advisor for Inception Studio, and I'm also the CEO of Hasen Global. For Inception Studio, we focus on early stage companies that are built by serial entrepreneurs that are focused on AI native. So we have different retreats. There's one that's a co-founder matchup, and then there's one for advanced teams. And for Hasen Global, I do advisory work usually with corporates and family offices to do deal structure, technology, and then leadership development. A little bit about my history. I have been working as a venture capitalist for over a decade. I spent 5 years with Singtel Group, a very large Singaporean conglomerate. They own entities around the world. I was doing tech scouting and investments for them. And I also spent 5 years running 4 funds, 300 million under management, invested over 100 companies with MS&AD Ventures. So I've actually spent a lot of time also training Japanese trainees. So they're usually about 25 to 35 years old. They would get sent from Japan to Silicon Valley to train under me under venture capital partnerships and do business spin-outs. So I'm very happy to be here today. Thank you.
So it's my turn now. So good afternoon. I am running a company called Anyplace in San Francisco. My name is Naito. I was speaking in English, but as soon as I'm here, I was told to speak in Japanese, but I can speak both. So the company Anyplace, we provide the accommodations, Wi-Fi environment, and it's a long-term accommodation. I was born and raised in Japan, and up until I graduated from the university, I was in Japan, and I went over to the United States to start a company. At that time, I could not speak English, so when I go to the Starbucks, I could not place an order well, so I just said yes to everything, and my order was full of toppings, and so that's how I started.
It's been 10 years since then, and right now we have raised around 3.5 billion yen, and also the local investors. So Jason Collins, so that was an investor who founded out Uber, and also Steve Chen, so co-founder of YouTube. So based on those funding from those members, I was able to survive in the United States. So I really appreciate inviting me here. Thank you very much.
First of all, thank you very much for having me. It's a real pleasure to be here. Really honored to be on stage today. And I'm sorry that my translator is not working. So actually, I don't know if it's the same for you, but for me,
Did you press channel 2?
Oh, okay, great. I'll try it later. Anyway, so a little bit about myself. So I'm co-founder and CEO of a company, and we're doing software for venture capital and private equity, and we are very focused on this vertical. And the point is to create the most intelligent and the most powerful software for VC. And today we're working with 160 firms across 40 countries, so it's a very international company. And we are very, very interested in working more with Japanese investors and Japanese corporations. And that's also a reason of why I'm here. And just a little bit, because actually it's really coming from a pain point. So actually I'm a designer, so I'm not coming from a financial background at all. I learned design at school. And the thing is, I really wanted to be entrepreneur. And the thing is, if you want to build a company at scale, if you want to build a global company, you need to raise money. And I think there is only two ways to learn how to raise money. So the first one is to raise money by yourself. And the second one is to work for an investor. So I was lucky enough to go to work for a fund called FJ Labs, which is one of the most active funds in the planet, based in New York City. And this is how I learned venture. The thing is, I was in charge of managing what we call the deal flow, so basically the selections of the different startups that the VC needs to do before to invest. And then I was in charge of managing the relationship between the fund and the portfolio companies. And the thing is, it happened that there is no tools that are actually made for that. So we were doing everything on Excel spreadsheets and a lot of different tools. So I actually decided to build the tools for that. And the thing is, I was not supposed to stay in this industry. So for me, that was just an internal project. But the thing is, after a couple of months working on the project, I just called the partners back. And I said, okay, so we had basically two options. So the first one is we keep this project internally, and it will never be as good as we want, because if you want to build a great software, you need to get 50 people, maybe 100 people that will dedicate their life to build a great software. And this is not the work of VC. The work of VC is to find great companies and to support them, right? And so that's the first option, is we're just going to bleed money to get something that will never be efficient. And the other option is actually you invest into this company and we try to build something that is scalable and then is serving other VCs. And so guess what? They took the option too. So we raised our first round, and this is how it started. So yeah, that's it for me.
Okay, thank you so much for that awesome intros. Okay, so I like to jump on the first topic today. So is youth your greatest asset? So people often say when you're young, you can recover from the failure quickly, but is that true? Like, it's the perfect timing to take a risk because you have less responsibility in your life. But I think taking the very first step is always the hardest part. So I like to discover with you how each of you took the first step and turn your youth into your advantage, and how you overcame your very first failure in your life. So I like to start with Satoru because I know him for a long time, and I know when he started his company.
I fail a lot. Yeah. What's the question?
What is your very first failure and how did you overcome?
そうですね、失敗。まあめちゃくちゃ失敗。
Yeah, I did a lot of failures. After I graduated from the university, I went to the United States. And luckily, so there was Smart News as well as Mercari was developing their companies in the United States. And also I had an acquaintance and who they gave us an angel investment. So for the first 2 years, I tried to make an effort. But the first idea failed. So I always looked for the ideas, and repeatedly I looked for ideas. So the process of the business finding was firstly the failure. So how many times did you do pivoting? So 5 or 6 times pivoting at least. So many failures. And based on that, when you start startup companies in Japan, there are many companies you can copy from the United States. Of course, avoiding some misunderstanding, 90% of the Japanese startups are sometimes a copy of the American companies. I'm not saying negative, but there are many models, what I mean by that, in the United States. But in the case of the United States, you have to start from scratch. So there are many approaches available, but my favorite approach is Y Combinator, one of the biggest accelerator in the United States. So OpenAI is also coming from that. And the founder of that says that the right way to find out a partner is the right way to find out item is you do not have that, but someone else wants that. Then try to find out that one. But it took me 2 years until I found out the right element. So that was the first failure as well. Although it was a failure, the learning from that would be very big.
And Clement can hear what we are saying.
Yes, it's good.
Yeah,
Okay.
is the translator working?
Yes. Thank you.
I'm just switching language between Japanese and English, but yeah, like so, Satoru の時はまあピボットいくつかクリ。
In the case of Satoru, you repeated some pivoting, but in the end you found out Jason Carlson, the Steve, as well as Steve found Steve from YouTube, as well as Uber. So you met those investors, and you had pivoting as well as figuring. So how did you come up with the residence to overcome various challenges? So it's very important to have nice persons around you. At the beginning, I went to the United States. At the same time, I sold my company to KDDI and Kiyo-san, my acquaintance. So he also gave me an angel investment. He also went to the United States at the same time I went. So, and also there are similar founders in the United States. So I was able to join that type of community. So we are making effort each other. So I didn't have any idea to come back to the United States. So how do they feeling about in your environment? So environment is very important when you think of the new business.
Hasen next. So Hasen さんは
So Hasen, so from TBS you moved to Pivot, and now you are the founder for startup. So during that time, you experienced a lot of failures. So do you have any such failures you can talk about? As for business, of course, you know much about it, more than myself. So from the point of media, so just like yours, of course, I had a lot of failures. But so I always try to keep challenging because failures are the experiences. That was the most important point for me when I was young. So this staging as well as TV shooting, they're the same. So there is a script that you can follow. But if you just finish task, just following the script, nothing would be interesting. So no interesting could be generated. And also the feedback from you would be not rich. So that's the basic concept whenever I do my business. So in that sense, I try to be away from the script. So try to be to stand out from the script. So I think this would be important for any job. It doesn't have to be media and entertainment industry. And you may have some small failures, but this small failure will lead you to the next step. So as for the business or tasks you're doing, you try to add some values, or you try to add something in your activities and just try to experience it and receive feedback from other members as well as review, reflect on yourself. That would be one of the feedbacks I always give to my team members as well. So the different experience in different industries would be very important.
Wang and Clement next. So when you were young and when you started as an investor, did you receive any comments like you're too young? For like Tiffine, for example, you're woman, like you don't know what you're doing. Like, have you received any comments like that? How did you overcome, or did you turn your youth into your advantage? So let's start with Tiffine.
Ladies first.
Oh, yeah. So when I was younger, I was a very curious person, and I would get bored very easily. I actually started my career in bioscience. I was doing research in the labs. What typically happens is when I finish learning something, I get very bored. So I went from bioscience for a year and a half, then I went into teaching. I taught first grade for 2 years, and I was like, oh, I don't want to do this forever, right? Because it repeats. And then I went into workforce development, and then eventually I found tech. But moving into tech was actually very difficult. I was like, what am I gonna do? I've already finished school. I tried learning how to code, so I was able to build a basic app. And then, but I was like, wow, I'm so bad at this, I don't think I would hire me to do this, right? But what I did was, I was very curious about it all the time. So even when I failed, and I always kept going back. And that's when you know you found something you really love. So when I moved into tech, I was doing tech scouting and then at some point moving into venture capital. But I built out a bunch of like incubator, accelerator programs. There was Alchemist. Before Alchemist got started, it was something called Alchemist Series, and I helped build out that program. But it was something where like I had to learn about it, and there was no school for startup or venture back then. So I spent a lot of time just like networking, learning about different things, and then really understanding like what I really, really love. And then when you find the right pieces, you can't stop thinking about it. So even though I've been working for over a decade, it doesn't feel like work because I love it so much.
Thank you so much. Clement.
Yeah. Can I give you a secret? I felt so much that actually I was the last one in my class for 20 years. I was really, really bad at school. And actually, in France, if you want to go to university, you need to pass an exam that's called the baccalaureate, and I failed twice. Wow. That was such a big failure, and I think everything happened for a reason, and that was the best training I had for entrepreneurship, because actually you're constantly failing. Of course, when I arrived at university, then I found something that I like, so then I was much better. But so the thing is, for example, when you raise money, I think that's also a very good thing. Is actually you need to do like 200 pitches before to get a yes sometimes, and you will constantly fail. So to raise my first round, it took me like 200 no's. So that means I did my pitch with all the effort and with everything I could, and it was keep continue failing. And then of course the age also doesn't help, right? So when you're 24 and you try to convince people to invest millions into your company, and you got nothing, you got no clients, you got no product, you got almost nothing. Of course, you're like, yeah, we want to go global, we want to do billions dollars a year, and people are like, yeah, but you're 23, you're coming from nowhere. And so of course it's a constant learning things. And to come back to what you were saying, Tiffine, is actually, I think there is two good qualities for an entrepreneur. The first one is you need to continue learning all the time. And the constantly learning is probably the most important thing. So you don't necessarily need to be good at something. You need to learn how to learn and to continue learning all the time. And that's what makes the difference, I think, over the years. And the other thing is you need to be resilient. So if someone tells you no, it's not a problem. If someone tells you like you're bad or your idea is not great, it's not a problem. You need to. One great VC told me one day that the job of an entrepreneur is to prove everyone is wrong. And I think this is exactly our job, right? Is to show the world that actually we're right and they're wrong. So yeah, failures and learning is actually probably the most important thing for entrepreneurship.
Awesome. Yeah. So hearing like everyone's stories, like I think that today's panelists, we all have have experienced and failed, but we have like enough strength to try again and enough resilience for the challenge. So that's very encouraging and inspiring to hear. So I'm gonna move on to the next topic, which is life without challenge is a waste. So, for example, most of people work for the corporation, or like they have like routine work. They go to the office and sit at the desk and do the daily routine, and then get home. They might have some passion inside. They want to solve something, but they just sometimes we don't have enough time to think about it or like courage to do it. Do you think so? When looking back, when you took the challenge, and do you think it was worth trying it? And when you made a change in your life, like what did you see? People around you has changed. Did you see anything change in your life? So I'd like to start with Clement again. If you could share your story from you're from France, and you went to New York, and you changed the industry. You started company. Did that change your life? And
I mean, I can talk about a very specific moment that actually completely changed my life forever. So it was in 2013. And at that time, we had a kind of pre-Sushi Tech in Paris. So it was an event that was not as big as Sushi Tech is, but at that time, that was such a big thing. And actually, the price for a ticket was twice the price of my rent. That was really, really expensive. But we got an expression in France that I will try to translate, which is close the door, I pass by the window. So actually, I found a way to enter into this event. And so it was so important for me that I actually Googled every single speakers and tried to get interaction with them. And so at that time, I was in my first year of university. And of course, I was Googling like the most important guys going there. And yeah, and actually I was lucky enough to get in touch with a guy called Fabrice Grinda, which is a serial French entrepreneur based in New York and now founding partner of FJ Labs. And actually I pretended to write an article for my school. And so I was harassing him. So I sent like thousands of messages to try to get into it by emails, LinkedIn, Facebook, anything. And so finally we got a small interviews. And we had a good interactions. And so, yeah, and so this is how I met the first investor in my life. And it was, at that time it was like graduate from Princeton, serial entrepreneur, already invested in more than 100 companies, and I was just like a first-year student. But since I was pushing so much, he said that, it's actually maybe not great, but actually he wants to learn. So this is how my career changed, because then I started to work for a company called Reback that was one of the portfolio company of FJ. And so I started to work there and working super hard. So finally I went to work for FJ Labs and I was part of the founding team. And then I was in charge of more and more things into FJ and finally ended up to doing EDA. So this day actually changed my life forever. Because without this meeting, I won't be here for sure. So sometimes you need to push to meet people, right?
I see.
Right.
So I'm gonna pass it to Satoru. 日本語ですかね、大丈夫ですか?
So I would like to speak in Japanese to talk to Satoru-san. So those people who are faced with the challenges or struggling to make a decision, saying that it's a waste of time, or something that you have done, the challenge which was worthwhile. If you can talk about some of your experiences. Well, about challenges, yes. Steve, Satoru is a difficult name to remember. So when I say Steve, I use Steve. So when I went to the United States on the birthday, the Steve Chen, the co-founder of the YouTube, was sitting there. And their friends were so excited. So I tried to speak in English, and I said that you are my hero. But so this year I met with Steve, and he invested in me. So I said, Steve, so as soon as I met him, in Hong Kong. Anyway, that was a story, and I tried to speak to him. And he started YouTube, and of course, he was someone that I only saw in the news and so forth at that time. But that's one thing. And in Silicon Valley, those people who keep challenging, I think it's like a heaven. We work, Adam, and there was a kind of a scandal, but Andreessen Horowitz, that was the VC that provided 400 million or so. So that kind of a scandalous failure, if you do that in Japan, maybe nobody would invest. But in the United States, that's not like that. So somebody will bet on you with investments. So trucks in Uber is similar. The founder of the Uber, internally, there was a cultural issue. And because of that, he took the responsibility and resigned.
また次の会社あってそこに出資する投資家もいっぱいいるんで
But there he found another company to start investing. So you keep challenging. If you keep challenging, I think the United States would provide the best environment for you. Right. Just like the case of WeWork. So, of course, there is a challenge as well as failures, but those kind of things, challenges and failures are rather hard to gain in Japan.
To do in Japan, it will be hard. I think it's very like Silicon Valley,
It depends on Son-san.
Yes. But okay, so yeah, I want to ask Tiffine next. What was your challenge, and how did that challenge change your life?
Yeah. So there's two stories I want to share. The first one was moving into tech. I was on actually a pretty good path to work for the government, and I thought about it, and I was like, I feel like, you know what, if I wanted to go back into government, I could probably figure out how to get back again, but I wanted to try something different. When I first brought this up to my friends and my family, interestingly, they were very against it. They thought I was making a very, very big mistake. And you know, not everyone's like quite supportive now, but I remember how difficult it was to walk away from something that's very comfortable, right? But when you're about to grow, you go and look at your friends, right? It wasn't that my friends did not want to be my friends. My friends at that time, they saw this like life that, oh, we all wanted to go and move into this other comfortable job. But so they think, oh, I'm throwing away my life. But over time, when I started to go and meet different people, I also started to meet founders and entrepreneurs. And there's also different types of founders too. There's founders that are like building small companies, and then founders that are building very big companies. Now, if you think about the people who are around you, right? And if you're like the highest one, I think you need to maybe add some new friends so you can actually go to the next level. If you're the best entrepreneur in Japan, you know, is that good enough for you? Do you want to be compete against Mark Zuckerberg? If that's what you want to do, then maybe you need to move to someplace else, or go and look at a different playbook, or add different types of friends into your network, right? But it's very, very hard. It's very hard to jump from here to here to here, right? So that was one challenge. And then the second challenge I had was actually when I made partner at a venture fund. So when I was a manager, there was a lot more structure. You know, I made some of the decisions, but not others. But when you're a partner, you're responsible for everything, right? And it was very, very hard because you have to fire people sometimes, right? And I have a soft heart, right? And so but at some point, if you're running a business, you're gonna have to make some very difficult decisions, right? Just like for some of you, I think if you really want to build a company, some of you might need to spend some time abroad. That's a very, very difficult decision, right? And you know what? As you climb up, the number of people that's on that journey gets smaller and smaller, right? But I can tell you, when you make friends, right, that are doing similar things of what you actually want to do, it becomes easier.
Thank you very much. And so, でハセンさんにもぜひ。
So let me ask Hasen. So, of course, you can talk about the current challenge or the challenges that you just started up your company, whatever. So, do you think you have changed the relationship with many people? Maybe when you retired from TBS, your friends also changed? Right, I remember. TBS is a very large company, I think, in Japan. And when I moved from TBS to startup, many of the people asked, is this okay with you? This is really a kind of very waste for your life. I was commented from many of the people. But what is important for me is you need to have an ownership actively because you are the owner of your life. Because when I was working in TBS, I said that I was actually doing whatever I am told to do that, and I cannot manage my schedule. So how can I get rid of that kind of frustration? I thought that I should go up to the startup field so that I can expand my perspectives. That was why I made a decision. So I do not have any regret, and right now my perspective was widened, as well as I have a larger network, which I am very proud of. And as all of you mentioned, so going out of your comfort zone, so you have different people, different type of people you see. So that would be also new stimuli. So if I were in TBS, so those are the old people I'm going to meet will be the people from the TV industry. However, right now see a lot of people from the business field. But when I went to the United States, nobody knows about me. That means I need to start expanding my network from scratch. So please help me. That anyway, so going out of the current situation, going out of your comfort zone. How do you feel when you go out of your place? So that is very valuable. How you feel about it is very important. So autonomy as well as activeness. So that your decision making will be very important. And I think that's the thing that I would like to communicate to younger person.
Like close up the challenge that we see in Japanese ecosystem, but do we have 9 minutes, I think? Okay, let's move to the third topic actually, which is entrepreneurship for everyone? Like, do you have to be a special person, or do you have to come from like rich family? You have to be, have some certain skills, or can it be for everyone? So let's start with Clement, because you have experience as investors. And what do you think about the entrepreneurship? Do you have to be a special person to start?
I would say no. I think both are right. So the thing is, I'm not sure you need to coming from a rich family, because I think entrepreneurship is also about changing your social class, right? So that's probably one of the only way to move from one, let's say, position to another in society. And I think that's the whole purpose of entrepreneurship, right? Because it's actually so tough that you need to get a big reward if you want to tackle that kind of things, right? So I think in that case, definitely everyone, and I think you don't necessarily need to be very great at school all the time, right? So you can also, there is a lot of very successful entrepreneurs who didn't really, get the meaning of schools, right? That was my case when I was younger. Doesn't mean that you don't need to learn again, right? So you need to keep continue learning and be curious and be passionate, but it's not necessarily coming from school. You can learn from many other ways, and actually with internet and with all those things right now, you can learn by yourself. So but so in that sense, I think everyone can be entrepreneur, but the thing is you also need to get a certain level of energy, and that actually probably not everyone will get, right? But I think everyone needs to try, because there is no, you can't know before to try, right? So my point would be everyone can try at least, and then if you fail, it's not a bad deal, right? It's not bad things. You will always learn, because when you build a company, you need to set up everything. You need to think about every details, and you need to care about every people in your team. You need to care about every single details in the product, but also in the office. You need to set up like the holidays, schedules, and all those kind of things. Say that you really need to care about every single details, and it's a great learning. So even if you fail, that doesn't mean that you're bad. That just means that sometimes some people are better in some aspect than others. But definitely everyone has to try. That's for sure.
That's very great advice. But I assume some of our audience is a young generation today, or like student or still in college. So I think this topic is very encouraging for those audiences. So Tiffine, so you met many founders in your career, and when you assess startup, and then let's say they are young, they have no title, no position, what would be your advice, or what do you look for in younger founders?
So what I typically look for, it's not actually money or a title. What are the key characteristics that makes a entrepreneur very successful is how hungry are they? Like, do they actually want to solve the problem? And like, this is the thing about Japan. I love Japan so much, and the culture is really wonderful, but Japan is also very comfortable. In Silicon Valley, we have people that come from all over the world. Some people, it's a one-way ticket. That means they can't go home. They have to throw away everything, and they will need to build a life there. Japan, again, really lovely place, right? So the question for Japanese entrepreneurs is definitely try, but how hungry are you? I need to know that you won't give up and just say, I don't want to do this anymore after a few tries. I need to know that you will keep going no matter what. Those are my favorite founders to invest in.
Sure.
Thank you very much. I totally agree with you because I spend time in Silicon Valley and Japan, and I see a lot of difference between these two countries. So yeah, if we talk about the Japanese ecosystem and how we can grow more companies and younger generation from Japan, we will definitely need 3 hours discussion. But yeah, so let's
Japan is
pass
too
it.
comfortable. I agree. I miss Japan. Ramen,
That's for sure.
story.
It's a
Sushi is
lovely
good.
place.
Sushi.
Yeah.
So let's pass it to Satoru because, yeah, I want to ask you. You can also say 日本語で言うと、まあ
In Japanese. So, well, of course, the entrepreneurship is for everyone. Everybody can try, but say that this is something that I tried very hard, or it's for everyone. But since I did this, I came to this stage. Can you talk about that? Chloe, you're speaking in both English and Japanese, and you're working very hard, right? Yes, I'm using my brain fully. Well, entrepreneurship is for everyone. What I can say is that I could do it. So, working or establishing company in Silicon Valley is not an easy thing, but I'm hoping that many people get encouraged seeing me. So if we are to be an entrepreneur, there are investors and there are venture capitalists and funds. So I'm hoping that this access to them will expand. More recently, accelerators are becoming better. Y Data and Jason also does the Lawson and Inception Studio, and Jetro also works with the different opportunity giving companies. So it's easy to start. So the third topic shown here, starting business in the United States in comparison to 10 years ago, it's much easier now. So I think it's a great opportunity now.
this it's for everyone, but I did this. Do you have a story? I'm
まあでも
special.
やり続けた。そう。
I continue to do it, not to give up. Well, not to give up is very important. Jason also said that to continue to work is very rare. And when I went over to Silicon Valley, I think that there are a lot of people, but there are also people who give up too. So getting the fund from the good investor, but leaving the company and try again is actually limited. Of course, it's more than Japan, but to continue to work, that is one of the advantages. So that's something that Jason said. So, well, one of the representative investors, so not to give up is a very important factor. Okay, so Hasen, so you're starting now, and after listening to other people, what do you think? What are your impressions? Well, what you said is resonated with me. So myself, my feelings, when I look at myself, it was almost like an impulse. I wanted to start a company. And so if you have such passion inside you, I think it's worth trying to do this. I would recommend that. And also, or VC, I have never visited VC and talked with the investor. I have never talked with the investors, but more recently, since I started, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to do the fundraising, but so many things that you can learn. I was surprised, and it gives me pleasure. So if you have any ideas, talk to someone, talk to investor to make an entry or apply, and that would give you an opportunity. So if you have anything, any passion that I want to realize, I would recommend you that entrepreneurship is for everyone. There's no question about that. Okay, so I think we have a few more minutes.
終了の時間です。
あ
We have to end.
So I want to ask one word from each of you, what's your message if you're 20 years old now? What kind of advice would you give? Very quickly, because I really want to know. Yeah, sure. Hasen-san. Okay.
Okay, so if I was younger, right now I think that the hurdle to become the entrepreneur is becoming less or smaller. So if you have an idea, I think you can generate a product or you can develop into the big business. There are such opportunities. So what is important is to have a flexibility, open mind, and also the passion from the bottom of your heart. I'm still new, so I cannot really talk about much, but if you can relate to what we talked about, I hope you would challenge that. Thank you. Tiffine?
If you want to build a global company, my recommendation is make as many friends from different parts of the world as possible. So that's one thing. And then the second thing is fail as quickly as possible. So do it a lot. And then once you get used to it, then when you fail in the future, it makes it a lot easier.
Thank you very much.
100%。
And Steve?
そうですね。まあでも
Well, to build a global business, to go to the United States right away. And I wanted to do this earlier, and studying abroad when I was a teenager probably would have given me more opportunities. So I think when there are many more Japanese entrepreneurs in the United States, we can help each other.
Yeah, so I think my advice would be don't listen to this session. No, I mean, I'm joking, of course, but the thing is I think people, you need to stay naive when you start a business, right? Because actually, if some people would told me, like, all the things that you have to manage and all those kind of very tough situations that you will have to do, I think I would probably never start, right? And so the thing is, no matter, you know, if people describe you how hard it is, don't believe it, right? It's actually, there is also, because we talked a lot about like the hard stuff today, but actually there is also some very, very pleasant moments, and like right now, for example, right? And yeah, so I think you need to stay naive a little bit and thinking that things gonna be easy and it's gonna be fun, right? Even if it won't be the case, but that would be my stuff. Like stay naive a little bit.
Awesome, thank you so much. So with that said, I like to conclude this final session of Sushi Tech Day 1. And let's give the biggest applause to those outstanding panelists. Thank you so much. And I also heard from the organizer, after this, we like to take a survey from the audience. So if you could stay here, and I think the screen is going to change. Okay, so if you could scan the QR code with your phone, and thank you so much. We really want your survey and feedback, so please take maybe 1 minute to submit. Okay. Then after that, we will have a group picture on the stage. So
Thank you.
please stay.
Give us 5-star.
So yeah, let's talk about, like we have 1 minute to spend.
Great.
So what topic would we?
Any recommendation
Oh,
for
any
Tokyo?
recommendation for Tokyo and Japan? Yeah,
It's first time visiting
Yeah.
Tokyo. Maybe sushi place.
Sorry, what did you say? Any recommendation?
Recommendation like sushi place or restaurant. Do you wanna get recommendation from us?
In Tokyo?
Yeah. What do you want to do here? Why are you here?
Interesting. So actually, to be frank with you, I won't stay in Tokyo for. I mean, it's my third time in Tokyo.
Third time. Okay, sorry.
Yeah.
I thought it was first time.
No. It's my third time in Tokyo. So right after this week, I'm going to a small town called ITAMAE. I always probably know.
Oh, nice.
And because I didn't take holiday since very long time, so my point would be to relax. So that would be my recommendation. Is also go to see the countryside, for sure.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, it was a joke actually. I tried to say joke, but yeah, thank you for recommendation.
What's your recommendation, Satoru?
In Tokyo?
Yeah, in Tokyo. What would you recommend?
Good question. There are a bunch of places you should go.
Do you do like sauna?
Sauna, onsen. If you like hot springs, maybe not in Tokyo though. Maybe Yugawara, Kanagawa, Shizuoka. I don't know. It's but sushi, you know,
For
if you go
sure.
sushi, yeah, it's cheap, much cheaper than San Francisco. So you should go to sushi place every day.
I have some. I have just a very short story. It was actually when I started over a decade ago. I was building a small company, and the only person actually who supported me was my dad, because he also did business, and I actually spent like 6 months trying to sell like some services, and I couldn't close anything. And I got really mad at my dad because my dad was like, oh, all you have to do is close your first sale, right? Close your first deal. And I was like, I was failing so bad that we went out to dinner one day and I yelled at him. I was like, you were teaching me to be so stupid. And then of course, like right after, I closed my first sale, right? Like really, really soon after. So if you guys are building companies, like it's usually the first sale that's the hardest. So, but just keep going.
Right.
That's great.
I think that's a good one. Sales is actually very hard. When I started the company, because we are like I was working in a fund, right? And so then I decided to move from outside. So I also went from a very comfortable job with free flight tickets and like VC salary, right? To like entrepreneurship with no money, of course no flight ticket because you can't fly because you need to stay in a thing. And actually people told me like, but no worries, I call 5 people, you get 5 clients. It's going to be very simple. Well, actually not at all. Like it was super tough. We spent like weeks to close the first sale. It took forever. So yeah, definitely. And the sales is really a science. Like you need to learn it. It's not like look at how my product is good and people will buy it. It's actually you need to learn how to convince people, to join your platform. So yeah, sales is really something tough.
100%.
We
Thank
can
you.
learn sales, right, when we got into your program.
Yes.
I wish one day,
Innovation
yeah.
Studio.
I can give assignments for free right now.
So, okay, I think we got enough survey, and thank you so much for submitting
Thank you.
survey and then joining our session, the final session at Sushi Tech. Let's send the final.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. So, should we do the group picture?
Yep.
I think we
Should we
can.
do it sit here?